a little shocking to me.
How so?
That's just not the surfing community I grew up in. This actually feels a lot more like a community of greed that I am also familiar with. And that's not, I mean, I think that your customers would probably be a little astounded by the greed in asking for $1 million
to avoid a lawsuit and to get a domain name and to get another investor, and to continue your profits, which I hear are at $50 million, according to your last press release.
I don't think
it seems
that's
to me-
exactly accurate.
Seems to me that there's a lot of room, at least for a conversation in the higher
I'm
end.
not sure that the $50 million figure is accurate.
It was on a press release on your website, so that's where our researchers found it.
And I am not entirely familiar with the company's accounting, and potentially the company could be worth $50 million.
Oh no,
We
that's
don't-
just additional financing, that's not even your actual value.
That's
your
the
newest
additional
round of
financing that we need.
Yeah, that you're
Right,
acquiring.
that's the money we need. We don't, and we don't have that money.
So, I
And again, that
offered
just
as a
sounds like
starting
greed,
point.
really, to me, and, I've worked hard to build this company from nothing also. I've ground my fingers to the bone building this company also because I love my community and I love my company. And I'm not, I've just never really been motivated by greed that way. I feel like we're offering to do everything fair to help you maintain your company and resolve the issue with our company. But at the same time,
I mean, you're.
the 50
It
million.
seems like you don't want to negotiate as much as you say, because I said $1 million, but I'd like to hear how you think these other services we've talked about might change that, and you drop it to a 1/20th of the price and tell me that
Well, you have to-
tell me that the work you're gonna do is actually fairly minimal, but don't counter offer with a response, and then you just call me greedy over and over again.
But
So
you
I'm
have
not
to,
sure
you
if
have to
you're really
recall that you're
interested in
still collecting
negotiating.
50% of the profit from your company. On top of the 20% that I offered you for the domain name, you're
But
still
that's the thing
collecting.
is that originally there was never a conversation about you just owning half of the company. We were just talking about you helping me manage some of the operational stuff. And you moved into a 50% ownership of a company you're undervaluing by many times.
Well, you asked
And then-
me how that works with our company, and I told you,
And you said you'd own half of my
We would own
company
half
and
the
you would
company.
pay me a 20th of what I offered.
right.
To own half of my company when you're off on the numbers it's definitely not worth 50,000. It's worth a lot closer to 200,000. And you're still telling me you want to give me $50,000 to own half of my company when it revenues at 4 times that every year. And that's to also have the domain name. So we want to talk about greed.
Okay, now you're making a point there that I can become a little more agreeable with. And so where I can go with that on my offer would be to do the services that we talked about and to own a 10% share in your company. That what you're saying does, make some sense. We do have to put some work in. I think we're in agreement that we do have to put some work in to maintain sites. That's our business. If there wasn't some work involved, then we wouldn't be a
Yeah,
business,
what
right?
I'm looking for is someone to take a little bit of that overhead away from me, that work to maintain the overhead away from me.
But my understanding is you pretty much want it all taken away from you, and you want to still be able to dabble in it when you.
No, like
when
I
you
said,
want to.
I like the work, it's my website, I'm very passionate about the community and maintaining the history that I've built here, and like I mentioned, my blood, sweat, and tears are in this site. It's just the day-to-day, like having to deal with the, tracking all the books and having to deal with managing a bunch of employees, as those things grow, I get more distracted from the things that I really care about, which is designing and surfing, right? So I'm still willing to do a lot of that stuff. I'm just looking for help so that I can still do what matters most to
So
me.
what type of help would you like from, what services would you like from our company?
You know, you do e-commerce, so making the e-commerce site as simple as possible would be a great first step there.
So you're talking about the transactions?
Yeah, dealing
Okay.
with the sales of the postcards and the commodities, the surf gear that we sell. That would be a great first start.
I mean, we can do that.
Okay, but I still think going from 1 million to 50,000, even if you don't think my offer is reasonable, there's no realm that $50,000.
Well, but now, again, now you're talking about us providing you less services and you basically collecting most of the profit from your company at this time.
But
So
like
now
I
we're back
said,
to-
$50,000 wasn't from my position an offer that was commensurate with what you're trying to buy.
$1 million is not,
So I was trying to see if you
Either,
had a different
at
offer
all.
that might be more.
my offer is as absurd to you as your,
So
as
what
your
I was
number
trying
is
to
to
ask
me.
was, do you have another offer that might be somewhere more in the middle, that might take into account some of what we're talking about here?
Yeah, I think that we can, well, I don't know if we can reach an agreement. I mean, I can throw a number out there. I can tell you, I could pay you $100,000. And then at some point, I'll put that offer on the table, that I'll pay you the $100,000 and I'll handle your e-commerce. And I would wanna own, if all we're handling is your e-commerce, I would wanna own 3% of your business.
So $100,000, 3% of our business, so, you know, a few $1,000s of profit every year. And then you handle the e-commerce, but you get to avoid a lawsuit, you get to eliminate your competition, and you get your investor of $50 million.
And you also are avoiding a lawsuit.
That, again,
taking
I
the
am not
weight
gonna
off
have
your
to
shoulders.
pay for.
I mean,
Or really
if you
get
actually have
involved in.
attorneys that work for free, great. And if you think that's not gonna be a burden on you, then great. Like, we can go that route if that's what you prefer. If you honestly prefer to go the lawsuit route, which is almost, like each time I put something on the table, then you bring up your attorneys and how aggressive your attorneys are and how free they are and great they are.
It's not how.
And I have no problem with, I mean, my attorneys wanna go the attorney route. And so if that's what you would prefer,
My point is
we
that
can do that.
I'm not coming to this table particularly interested in selling, and it seems like you have a lot more to gain from this
I don't
transaction.
think you're coming to the table at all interested in selling.
Not particularly, no. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, I'm willing to sell if I hear an offer that sounds really good, but my incentives.
So I've offered you $100,000
And that's still.
and to handle the e-commerce, and so.
I
so-
think that, you know, if you're willing to come to something like $900,000.
Yeah, you're way out of our ballpark right now, like, way beyond what we possibly could afford. And I think that you're seeing this $50 million figure and thinking maybe that's profit for our company, and that's not what that is.
No,
You know,
I'm
that's-
seeing that, like, we are a barrier, as you saw, to you getting that $50 million, and the money that you're working on grabbing, you told me, was specifically
So
for
it sounds
growth.
like you just wanna stop us from being able to grow. You wanna be that barrier. And that's,
I have
and
no
again, if
interest
that's,
in doing or not doing anything to you. I'm just interested in
well, if that was the
preserving
truth,
my
you'd just give me the
company.
domain name, because it's really
No,
not,
yeah,
I
like I
mean,
said,
your
it's
little
very
tiny
important to
company
me.
it's,
I mean, you could, every time you call it little tiny or tell me I'm greedy, I just am more interested in walking away from the table, cause I was
Okay.
not interested in selling in the first place. I just wanted to hear you out, cause I was interested in having a conversation with you.
okay, well,
So,
I mean, I think that's, you know, we wanna reach a fair agreement on the, as I said coming into this, you know, emotions get a little high and stuff, but as I said coming into this, I'm all about the surfing community too. I think you've done a good thing with your company. And, you know, we're at a, we've happenstancely kind of gotten these two domain names that are really close to each other, and as you know, our investors want us to, you know, remedy that problem. And I would like to do that, find an amicable way to do that without litigation.
Yeah.
I would like to avoid litigation.
Yeah.
You know, that, and that's it, but I can't come I can't come anywhere near the numbers that you're talking about.
Okay, then
I
do you have
could-
another
I could offer you
'Cause-
more services if I'm just not clear what services would be valuable to you. I could offer you, some shares of our company. I could offer you some stock in our company that would, you know, pay over time.
It would depend on the value of those shares.
And again, as you know, right now, our company is not worth $50 million. We have a investment hinging on this deal here. And basically, we could, you know, bring you into our family by giving you some shares, and then that investment is also hinging on your decisions as well. But I can't tell you the value. I can't tell you the value of my company today to you if I gave you some percentage of shares. Say I gave you 1% or 1.5%. I can't tell you exactly what the value of that is today, and I further can't tell you what the value of that would be upon getting that investment. But obviously, the value would be greater if we were able to acquire the domain name.
Well, I know that you're preparing for an IPO, so you must have some finance people working on a valuation number. I mean, you must have
We probably
something
do.
to work
That is
with.
probably true. I don't have the number that you know is this investment that we're relying on is really the only number I know. I know that we've grown our company as fast as we could and basically put all of our reserves into growth. So basically what I'm telling you is, as we sit now, we're at kind of a zero balance and relying on this investment, right? And I'm not in the business of arranging the IPO or any of that. Obviously, if we could fund the business ourselves and hold on to it 100% ourselves, if we were cash rich, we wouldn't be doing an IPO. So I can, you know.
It's just I'm reluctant to let go of hard known dollars for an unknown share amount without some kind of, you know, especially given that you are working on an IPO, without some kind of dollar value attached to it. Like, it's very difficult for me to say, yes, I will drop my price by $200,000 for some shares when I have no idea if they're worth $1 or $1,000 or how long they'll take to vest, which most likely isn't that. But, you know, like, it's very difficult for me to, I think that especially if you folks are going to have some shares, 3% of our company, that's fine, but, you know, I need to understand what I'm trading for that 100 or 200 or however many $1,000 you're looking to drop my price, because we still have, you know, $8,000 to go between the difference.
And let me
800,000.
clarify for you, the 3% of your company is, in my mind, kind of what my company needs right now to maintain your site, actually to pay our employees or whatnot. In all reality, with this investment, with growth, we could let you just keep 100% of your business and help you maintain and grow the site and do those services for you. Like, I think that we can get beyond the 3% of your business. But obviously, I would like to be invited into your family.
We love having
you
more
know,
surfers,
it's,
CEO surfers
but-
are the best kind.
So, I think that we could afford to do the services for you without having to own any of the company. I think that we could, I mean, I'm just telling you, I don't exactly understand exactly what needs I could meet for you to have you drop the price significantly for me. And if you could be more specific about that. And at the same time, I can't put a specific value on shares because I don't know the value. If I could, I would just tell you that it's valued at, I really don't know what the value of 1.5% of the company is. I'm willing to offer you some ownership of the company, but I don't really know what the value is. So, and I know we're nowhere near meeting right now on a compromise, because I simply, you're in a dollar ballpark way out of our ballpark. You know, obviously the domain name's important to us. It's very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that I can give you $200,000 for it and do the services that we talked about. I think I can give you 1.5% of ownership of our company. And that's pretty, and
When you
then
were
I'm
asking for
stretching.
3% of ours just to handle commerce?
Well, 3% of your company, you know, again, to me, a very generous valuation of your company is 200,000. Obviously, again, like I said, I don't know the exact value of our company, but it's obviously worth far more than 200,000.
I think it's difficult to negotiate with someone who sees the valuation of your company. Like, when I have confirmed to you that it is $200,000 and you keep saying it's very generous of me to assume that it's $200,000, it indicates to me that there may be a lack of trust here.
No,
or
there's
that
no,
perhaps we don't.
there's no lack of trust. What's your company worth?
Around $200,000, like I
Okay,
told you,
fine.
and a few times more. Which
Fine,
is
it's worth
$200,000 a
$200,000.
year.
I'm sorry, when I said my generous estimate, that's based on the research that we did on the company, what I was told the company is worth. I was not told by you what the company's worth. If you tell me your company's worth $200,000 and that is a actual true representation, then I believe that it's worth 200,000. Point being, the 3% of your $200,000 company pales in comparison to the 1.5% that I'm offering you, because our company is obviously, if we have this.
So what is the value of your company if it's this 50 million is
I
not
don't,
it?
I don't know,
Mm.
but I actually don't know what the value of the company is. And in fact, without the investment, I could almost assume that the value of the company now would be in the red. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, when we look at the assets of the company and everything else, obviously the company is worth more, generates more than $200,000 a business year. I don't know the figure. If I really actually don't, I actually don't know the figure.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's, you know, it's in the millions.
Mhm.
It's not, I know that it's in the millions,
Mhm.
but I don't know what it is.
Okay. So you said $200,000 was the offer
I said 200,000.
that you just gave us. 200,000 plus 1.5% plus the management of our e-commerce into perpetuity, right? So as long
in the
as
perpetuity of our company.
yeah,
At least,
yeah,
you know.
because as soon as
right?
there's no company, then
And again, we'll help you with the rebranding. We'll reach out directly to your community.
I mean, I think I would be willing to go to $650,000, you know, given all the stuff we've talked about. But we still have the issue of, like I said, I think your offer, while it's definitely getting closer in line and more generous, it's still, in my opinion, not considering the less tangible monetary aspects, which is, like you said, your company's going into the red without this domain name because you're losing that $50 million investment, and then there's the additional suit, which your lawyers may bring or my lawyers may bring, but either way, it goes away with the sale, right?
Right.
And so I think that those two things add more value on top of those traditional monetary valuations that aren't being considered in your number.
Well, I think that they're being considered in my number, and I think that part of what I haven't, you know, brought into the conversation is, yeah, we have this investment on the table, and it's a very attractive investment, but we don't think that there isn't a replacement investment for that investment. We don't think we couldn't go out and find the same investment elsewhere if we needed to. But,
One bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
I think, so you, and again, we're still really far away from each other on an agreement for the upfront financial part.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, obviously, I come in here with a specific number in mind that I'm not willing to go over, and, you know,
And obviously I have a
we're
number similar.
gonna, get close to that. We're getting close to that number. I mean, I have a number that I'm, you know, authorized to go to by the rest of the company. And I have a number that I feel okay about for this,
Are
and
those
so.
numbers the same?
No, they are not. And I can, so I can throw out the $275,000 to make this happen with the other agreements. And if there's any other things that we haven't discussed beyond the cash part, then I'd be willing to consider those things. But $275,000 is,
So I might be willing to drop down to $600,000.
I thought you were already at 600,000.
650 is where I was at. But I would, if we're gonna start dropping any lower than this, I definitely, you know, I talked a little bit about my history here, but my father and I used to surf together, and he died of cancer, and so this is sort of my homage to him, and you know, there's a narrative around that and this domain, and so this is the domain he helped me to buy, and this is the domain and the website that he helped me to build, and if we're gonna go any lower than that, we're definitely gonna have to do something for him to make that okay. Because right now we're just sort of, especially at $275,000, we're just sort of letting all of that go.
Okay, let me tell you what I'm gonna tell you what my top number is.
And is this the number your company is giving you, or the number that you
This
have
is
for
my
yourself?
top number to negotiate.
But from your
with
company
here.
or for you?
I mean, I don't think that that's relevant. It's the top number that I'm gonna be going to.
I mean, I think
And
it is relevant.
So, well, what I can tell you is if we can't reach an agreement at this number, then our negotiations will be over.
Okay.
And so I can offer you $350,000 for the domain name. And I'm willing to seriously consider any suggestions you have to honor your father. And again, to me, that's not so much part of the negotiation as it sounds like your father was part of the surfing community that I fully support, and that your father was somebody important in helping you to start the business. And so, you know, as a business person myself, I'm fully supportive of trying to be involved in something like that. What would you suggest what could you suggest that would get you down to taking the $350,000?
I thought it was 375.
I said 350.
Okay, I thought you said 375, that's fine. So what would it take to get me down to 350?
And
And
I want to be real clear. That's as high as I'm.
That's a $250,000. We're talking half of what I'm currently asking, which is almost half of what I started at. To tell you the truth, I don't know what would be worth $250,000 at this moment. I've said what is really important to me, and I don't.
Well, you've said that your father and honoring your father is important. I don't know what you would how you would like to honor your father, or what part our company could take in that.
It's 4:50. What time did they say we had to go back? Okay. Well, it would be really nice if we could host an annual surfing competition in Hawaii that was paid for by your company and in his name, and that were to continue on, and that there were a scholarship given out to the winner of an amount that you and I can negotiate. I think something like that, which would over time be both good for your company's PR, but also would honor my father and
I mean,
eventually
I can
be
stop
worth
you right there.
$250,000.
Obviously, that is something that would be beneficial to both of our companies and our brands. And furthermore, it's something that we would not hesitate to fully fund. We'd be excited about funding that type of event in your father's name, and not only to honor your father, just because it's a great event, you know. So we would definitely do that. And
So if we could do like $400,000 plus the surfing competition, the domain and the 1.5%, and then the e-commerce, I think that would be
like I said,
reasonable.
I am really firm about the 350,000 being as high as I can go. And I feel like we're right, you know, we are right on the cusp of an agreement. We've really both come very far, and
I mean, I dropped my offer $200,000 for the surfing
no,
competition.
I
so
fully understand
I am
that.
really trying to meet you here.
I'll give you 375,000 and everything else that we agreed on.
Your jumps are much smaller than mine.
I think that my funds for this are more limited than you expect them to be. And I think that some of the numbers are a little bit deceiving. And so I'm going beyond what I should actually be doing. But I feel like the surf competition is a great idea. I feel like, again, having you be part of the company and still being involved in your website and getting some reward from our company growth also seems beneficial to both of our companies. And I feel like the domain, obviously, yeah, we wanna, I don't wanna do the litigation thing. I wanna avoid all that. I can give you 375,000.
I think 400 is the lowest we can go. Like I said, we started at $1 million, and we fully expected after conversations with our lawyers that this entire transaction would be worth that. And I'm more than happy to come down almost 3 times, almost twice what that first number was. But I really feel like you need to come up that last $25,000.
You can't do that. I can't. I think that I would have to walk away from the table and get further approval. I think I've already offered some things that I wasn't authorized specifically to offer, that I know I can justify with my company. But I don't think I can go any further than 375,000 in the cash.
I mean, I think for a $50 million deal, $400,000 is, less than 100th of what you stand to gain.
I agree with that. I'm not debating that, but again, I'm talking about what cash we have in hand to do this deal right now, and you understand how a company works and the budgeting.
And I understand how
can't,
important future valuation is too.
But I can't spend money I don't have. I simply can't do that. I can't do that. So, I can.
Well, this is why, was that number your limit or was that number your company's limit was such an important question to me. Because my sense from you not divulging that is that your company is actually willing to go a little higher than that, and that's your number. Because in my experience, no negotiator comes to a table with a higher amount than what their company starts at. So my sense is that your company Like, no one says, my company says
Well,
I only
I-
have 375,000, but I'm willing to offer up to 400,
You have
right?
to remember that I'm an owner of the company and I'm negotiating for the company as well, so.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
again, my sense is that the number they gave you is the higher number, so my sense is that there actually is a little bit of wiggle room here.
I think that the wiggle room is the $25,000 that I just put on the table. You know, like, obviously, I'm authorized to come in and make a certain amount. I would like to come in lower than that, and my number was slightly lower. The reality of the situation is the $25,000 more that I just offered you is where we reached both of those limits.
I want a month vacation to surf where you'll manage the company. So after the sale, I want 1 month off, and you will handle the expenses, and then. I
The
will-
expenses of your vacation
Just like,
or the
just
company?
managing the daily operations,
Oh, that's fine.
and then we'll do it.
I can manage your company for 1 month while you go on vacation.
Yeah, and
I
I see
will-
that as a
I will
value that is
personally
commensurate
oversee-
to $25,000.
I will personally oversee the company and the activity of the website, and in fact, start the reaching out to your community and all of that stuff during that month. I'm happy
Well,
to
let's
do
not
that.
get crazy here.
Happy to do
But,
that.
Okay, so 375,000, 1 month of managing my company while I surf, 1.5% investment in your company. You oversee all of my e-commerce, and we run a surfing competition / scholarship in my father's name.
Yes,
And we avoid the lawsuit, and you get your investment.
okay,
Okay?
sounds good? Jesus.
No kidding.